brighten up those already bright mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Mornings at the Cabin, indeed, on your Taco Tuesday. Come on down to Cabin Radio for Taco Tuesday. Each taco, $50. Good morning. It's Lecter and Wheeler with you. I already said that part, but I wanted to say good morning to Lecter because he's across from me, and we rarely talk outside of work.
Morning, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Some good news this morning.
Oh, go on.
I mean, we can talk about it a little bit later, but I just clicked on this. And
better news than it being Taco Tuesday.
Better news than it being Taco Tuesday, which again, every week is an abject failure.
Did I ever tell you Ollie loves that bit?
He does. I know he loves every bit we do. He loves every bit we do,
begrudgingly,
especially when I go into my amazingly accurate English accents. I mean, it's just a duck being a duck, isn't it? It's like a Michael Caine.
He loves it. He can't get enough.
And the brandy. Movie theaters in Yellowknife and River looking to reopen. They're starting to make plans.
That is good news.
I'm very excited. I haven't been to a movie since Christmas. I haven't been to a movie since Christmas.
God, yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's not abnormal for me, but for you.
Fair enough. And you know what? Actually, in town, it's not totally abnormal for me.
Oh, you go all the time.
I just don't have time.
You go all the time.
I like to go by myself.
I know.
You know, which makes it a lot easier to go to movies because then you don't have to depend on other people's schedules and then you get there and they're like, I don't want to see that movie. I don't want to see that movie either. Let's just go get something to eat. It's like, you know what, Phoenix? I mean, you know what, other person? I'm joking. She doesn't do it, but she doesn't really like to go to the movies.
Yeah,
much. I like to go.
I admire that, honestly. That you like to
admire
go.
That she doesn't like to go to the movies.
Well,
it's not something to be admired.
That saves money.
That's true.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Wheeler and Lecter with you on your Tuesday morning. Don't forget, every Tuesday for merely $2, you can come here and ask us if we have tacos. We won't, but it'll cost you $2.
$2 to inquire.
That's right.
Yeah.
$2 inquiries. $2 minimum on the inquiries.
Hey, you might be surprised one of these days.
A feel-good story from Yellowknife's history. The Giant Mine, the first fire truck down in Giant Mine. Have you been down there? They've got everything kind of organized in the parking lot there, and they've got some plaques there explaining what it is.
Yeah.
I've
only been there once. I mean,
you've been there once?
Recently.
Down at the Giant Mine boat launch.
Yeah.
Recently.
When
was it?
Like last summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not that recent. I was down there last night.
Were you really?
I was.
Why?
Well, because we were filming a little thing.
Oh,
so we were out on the boat, filming
a
little thing. Got to spend a couple hours out on the boat, which was nice. It was a nice evening, a little blowy out there. But hey, if you've never been on Great Slave on the Big Lake, you know it gets a little blowy out there, and that's fine.
Blowy.
Can't just be flat all the time.
No,
you know,
no, it can't.
So Yellowknife Historical Society shared this post, and we Emily did a story on it. The first fire truck. So one of the things they got down there is Giant Mine's first fire truck, and someone stole the door 5 years ago. Someone just took the door and wanted to use it for their man cave. So that's why. Presumably. No, apparently that's what it was. That's what Ryan Silk put that post up and said that's basically what had happened. But this person returned it. Which is
How
very
did they know about the man cave? Because didn't they just return it with a note? Did we actually know who stole it?
I don't think so.
Do we have suspects?
I think we're gonna kind of forgive and forget this one because they've brought it back.
No. That just encourages this kind of thing.
Okay.
You got to nip this in the bud, Jesse.
That's right. Get your pitchforks and nip it in the bud.
Next thing you know, they're going to be cutting heads off statues because the kids in the neighborhood think it's cool.
Yeah, that's right. They think it's cool to stand up against authority.
That's right.
Yeah.
Starts with car doors. It just escalates from there.
Old car doors.
Old car doors.
Not new car doors.
No.
No one wants my car off my old 91 Corolla for their man cave.
I mean, that might be okay. But like a 2018 Explorer.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to cut that door off.
No. Well, you might. I mean, if it's got some sort of,
maybe a racing stripe or something. That'll look pretty sharp.
Okay. Let's get back to the thing.
Okay.
So it was returned along with an anonymous apology note. So this is why we're kind of forgiving for so this person kind of said like, listen, I took this and I'm bringing it back. I feel bad. Blah blah blah. I don't know what the note says.
I was in a dark place in 2015.
I was in a dark place. I wanted this for my man cave. Now I don't have a man cave because I've had kids, so they've kind of crapped all over my dreams.
They filled the hole in my heart that a rusty door once did.
Well, I was using his rusty door as a placeholder, but now I got a family and this door's got to go. My kid cut his hand on it. So it's been sitting in storage since it was returned, but then recently, Peter Howlett, Kavanaugh Brothers, general manager at Kavanaugh Brothers, came by, welded the door back on the truck.
Good guy, Peter Howling.
Absolutely.
Love that.
And it's just a nice little piece of Yellowknife history, of giant mine history that's kind of back more intact. And unfortunately it is out there. They are out there in the open. So, I mean, I noticed a little bit of damage. Some of the plaques have been bent out of shape and stuff like that. So,
Right.
I mean, people go out there and they mess around.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because, I mean, this is why you have buildings, brick and mortar museums. But, I mean, that's a lot to have down there.
You're not getting bent out of shape about that, are you?
I don't like it when people deface things much.
That's fair.
I mean, unless it's, there's certain exceptions. Like, there's a statue of Christopher Columbus. By all means.
Deface away.
Deface away. Throw spaghetti sauce on that. Read up on why that's cool. So, yeah, a nice iconic piece of giant mine history back in its place. And, I mean, it's a really interesting little layout they've got down there. They've even got that old World War I tank. World War II tank, probably. There's an old tank down there as well that used to be out in Cam Lake next to the old L'Orange building.
Oh.
That's right. Dating myself, which is now where the that restaurant is down by across from the Wildcat, the big building. What's that one called?
The big building across
The
from
big,
the Wildcat.
it's not a restaurant anymore. The Prospector. It used to be the Prospector.
Right.
So there used to be a float base there called L'Orange Air, and it was like a white, blue, and red building. And then they moved that building to Cam Lake. I don't know where that building is anymore.
Why did they need a tank there?
I don't know, but there was a tank out there for the longest time.
To shoot down enemy float planes?
Absolutely.
Ah.
And just in case.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah.
And they keep it operational. Don't go out there and try it. But it's sitting out there as well. So some neat history out there by the Giant Mine Boat Launch. If you haven't been down there, I mean, it's worth just taking a little drive out there and checking it out. And now that truck, the first fire truck ever in Giant Mine, back kind of more intact.
Is that windshield still smashed?
Of course it is. Where are you going to find a windshield for like a 48 Beast, whatever the truck is? So like a 1950s
I don't know. Is it
truck.
just a flat plane of glass?
Yeah, just tape it on there. What's your problem? That's a pretty cool story. Check out that story at cabinradio.ca. Emily Blake has that for you. And, just a neat little piece of history in Yellowknife and, little community thing coming together.
Back where it should be.
The welding stuff back together, as we often do. Welding together is what good doors do.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast was recorded before a sort of live, thankfully not in the studio, audience.
We were talking a little bit earlier on about movie theaters in Yellowknife and Hay River making reopening plans, hoping to reopen in the coming weeks. Now, they've Chris at the Yellowknife, the Capitol Theater, Chris Wood, the manager, he filled out his application for exemption for the new rules, and has been kind of having a frustrating time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, we're allowed 25 people inside, but does that mean 20? And he asked, does that mean 25 people for the entire place or 25 people for the auditorium? Let's get some clarification. Obviously, that would not be financially viable for them,
Right.
but it's good to hear that there are plans in place for the movie theater opening back up here and in Hay River. Because I mean, I don't know how much longer can that movie theater last without people going to it. I mean, it can't last forever. And they're obviously losing money all the time because it's not as if rents have been frozen the whole time, right?
Yeah, those are all good points. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he had, like you said, he ended up applying for the exemption to fill a cinema with more than 25 people for that exemption for right during phase 2.
Right.
But he keeps on running into the same issue, which is that he's being asked the same questions by a bunch of different people. He feels that they're not reviewing it properly. But every month they're losing north of $40,000.
Oh,
so that's
good Lord.
A ton of money. Most of that's rent, I imagine.
Yeah.
But that he finally received confirmation on Saturday that he can reopen with more guests in a socially distanced space. So that's great, but there's no date set yet.
Right.
But that means that more than 25 people, which is great because it's I think a 300-seat theater is the big one.
That'd be mine.
Something like that. So. I mean, if you could have 50 to 100, that'd be maybe viable because I imagine it's not it's not sold out every night, so you could have nights where it's a little bit more packed
right.
than elsewhere. But I mean, that's kind of been the plan for most things moving forward. You see some soccer leagues opening up in Europe. You see some plans for leagues opening up here, and it's just like you have either no fans or less fans, very few fans with at least 2 to 3 seats in between them.
Right.
So if you can do that, that makes a lot more sense. Now, when you couple that with like what's going on at NAC, when it comes to speaking and singing and things like that, there's still a huge difference. Now, I remember hearing some arguments about like, well, if theaters are part of this phase, why can't NAC be? It's like, well, NAC is, singing, mostly singing and a lot of talking. So that's what we're kind of trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to get people with it, stay outside the bubble of us being like,
and of course, dancing. Of course, dancing.
And of course, dancing. Because I mean, if you leave room for Jesus, you can dance. You know what I mean?
Huh?
You've never seen that, right? So like back in the day, I don't know if it happened at St. Pat's or it never happened to Sir John, but like when there were always this old joke in movies and in like more like religious centered schools where if you dance, when you dance in like junior high and you had your hands on the hips or the hands on the shoulder and you kind of stay like an arm's length apart almost.
Yes,
but if you got too close, a chaperone would come by and put a balloon between you.
Oh.
And say, leave room for Jesus.
What?
Apparently Jesus likes to be sandwiched between two children.
And is approximately the size of a balloon.
Approximately the size of a balloon. Hey, Jesus is whatever size you want to make him. All right?
All right.
Whatever size he is in your heart.
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that? Leave room for Jesus?
No.
Oh, man.
I thought you were making a reference to the Jesus mascot for like the hockey game or something.
What?
Like, what?
There's a Jesus mascot for a hockey team?
Wasn't it for the St. Pat's?
Oh, yeah.
There's someone in a Jesus costume who runs around on the ice.
That's exactly who they meant.
Yeah.
So they get a kid to dress up as Jesus.
Leave
for the
room for Jesus.
Like, leave room for Chad. I mean, Jesus. He's going to step in between you here.
He likes
I forgot
to score
about that.
goals too.
That was at the hockey game this year too.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that they, and I even remember like looking at it and being like, I forgot that they had that, and that's super strange. Like I get it. Okay, I'm not saying St. Pat's is strange. I'm not saying that. It's strange to have Jesus as a mascot.
I mean, I suppose it would be a little more strange if Sir John Franklin had
Sir John
Jesus
Franklin
as a mascot,
or Sir John Franklin as a mascot for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Just mocking Jesus in front of St. Pat's. Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, mascots are supposed to kind of like goad each other and like kind of like taunt each other. It's like a falcon taunting Jesus.
Oh,
strange.
Yeah. Don't mess, Falcon.
Don't mess around. Because I remember I got to be the Falcon one year. It was 98 or 99.
What did you do to Jesus?
I gave him the suck it.
Whoa!
Yes.
Oh!
But they didn't have the Jesus mascot back then, so it was like half the rink was St. Pat's, half the rink was Sir John. This is at the old community arena now. And so I went onto their half and I did one of these, pointed at the whole crowd, and went boom, 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 and then Tosh Johnson and Aaron Hernandez came out and did the same thing to me. We almost got in a little wrestling match. It was great.
But you said they didn't have the Jesus.
I don't think
costume
so.
then?
I don't think they had the Jesus mascot back.
What did they have? They didn't have a mascot.
They had a little leprechaun.
Oh, okay.
Which is,
So they went from leprechaun to Jesus.
I think they still have the leprechaun. Someone who went to St. Pat's or who works at St. Pat's now, reach out. Is it Jesus or is it a leprechaun as your mascot?
No, it's Methuselah. It's never been Jesus. Come on,
a Methuselah rookie card, 189 years old. Oh my goodness. So anyway, back to the movie theater.
All right.
So plans for reopening are coming.
Now, here's a question.
Yes.
Are there movies right now, other than obviously old
No.
movies, but like new? I know like Jon Stewart apparently has a new movie.
He's got a new movie that's coming out on
out.
streaming. Like Judd Apatow's new movie came out on streaming. There's a few movies that are kind of, and this is what we're going to see moving forward. You're going to see movies that kind of, and I've kind of done this as a movie consumer. It's like there's movies I need to see in the theater.
Right.
Like, so one of the last movies I saw in the theater was, I think the last movie I saw in the theater was 1917.
Oh,
I saw that Red
yeah.
Deer, big screen, big sound, because like a big epic movie like that needs that.
Right.
Whereas like the new Judd Apatow movie, I have no problem streaming that at home.
Right.
I don't need to see that in a big theater. Right.
You probably only need to watch the first half of it too.
Probably.
I'm sure the second half is just
4 hours long.
insufferable.
It's true. It's true. And I'm a fan of funny people, but good Lord, the last half of that movie.
Ooh.
But so that's what we're going to kind of see is that you're going to see like, and we've kind of been moving towards that anyway, where it's still a lot of movies that maybe don't need to be seen in the theater still get released, but then you have your like tentpole movies, like your Marvel movies or your new Christopher Nolan movie or comic book movie.
Whatever Disney's up to.
Whatever movie that's going to make $1 billion is
Yeah.
going to be the one that holds down May or June or July or whatever.
Right.
And then you have a bunch of other releases. So what we're going to see now is more moving towards those tentpole movies with smaller releases just being done on streaming because people are more comfortable that way.
Yeah.
Right? If you can have, especially now, but if you could have like a 60-inch TV with a decent sound system, why do you need to go to the movies? And I love movies, and I don't want to see movies take a huge hit like that. But I mean, especially now, and you want to go through all the whole rigmarole that we're going to have to go through over the next few months in order to go see a movie?
I don't want to go through any rigmarole.
I know.
I can barely pronounce rigmarole.
It almost sounds. But there's no movies being released right now, so that's why the top movie at the box office last week was Jurassic Park, because it's playing at a few drive-ins, right? So that's been the top movie, one of the top movies for the last few weeks is like Jurassic Park or older movies that are getting played at
all because
drive-ins.
Of the cabin.
All because of what?
The cabin.
What happened?
We showed Jurassic Park before any of
these.
Oh,
that's right. We started
followers.
The trend. I know. Yeah.
Right.
We were part of that box office enumeration. So yeah, that's what we'll probably move towards is like just kind of bigger movies being released. So there's still a few movies like that are on the schedule, a few movies that are still getting pushed back. Tenet being probably the biggest one that's coming out soon, which is the new Christopher Nolan movie, and that's been moved back a couple weeks, and it keeps on getting moved back. And who knows what's going to happen because the U.S. just seems to want to get coronavirus. They just seem to want it. You got to reopen up that economy and put hundreds of thousands of lives at risk. So who knows when we're going to see movies again, but it sounds like here in Yellowknife and in Hay River, there's a chance of reopening in a few weeks. But, I mean, again, even if you do reopen, will the people come? Will the people go and see it? Right? Will the people go?
At this point, I would say yeah.
I mean, I would hope so, but I mean, like, you'll probably have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How you gonna mouth popcorn with a mask on?
Good point.
I mean, you got to lift it. If you eat popcorn like me, put it back down. Miss half the movie. It's going to be tough. But, I mean, we're all going to have to make adjustments in order to do the things that we, normally like to do.
Well, here's a question.
Okay.
Before we go, so would you have to wear a mask? Because generally at a movie theater, you're supposed to shut up. That's kind of the protocol.
True. You're supposed to shut up and keep your mouth shut
during the movie.
That's right.
So there's not a point where you're going to be speaking moistly.
Yeah. That's true. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. There's just a lot of. There's a lot of
stuff that hole with popcorn, Mister.
And not just our theater. I mean, in every theater, there's a lot of touching, a lot of like sitting
Keep your
down.
hands to yourself.
Well, just like sitting down in seats that have already been sat in. I mean,
hand sanitizer.
Wipe them all down, right? But that's why
plastic covering.
Well, that's why a lot of seats have gone to like that faux leather, right? They're a lot easier to clean, a lot easier to wipe down.
Right.
We do not have that. So,
bring your own plastic cover.
That's right. Bring your own plastic cover.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast where we cut out all the great music and you're left with the rest.
Lecter has a stern look at his face. What's going on?
I just saw the video you were talking about earlier about the girl jumping off the roof onto the trampoline,
trying to get into the
pool. Oof, my God.
Good Lord. If you haven't started following kids getting hurt on Instagram, please do. It's hilarious. No kids are seriously harmed. It's just like kids falling off their bikes or trying to do a skateboard trick and failing miserably.
Well, this is also hardly a kid, so I fail to see what's funny about it.
Okay, fair enough. She looks like a teenager. She's a kid.
Young adult.
Yeah, young adult. Fair enough. She's a YA getting hurt. So maybe there's an Instagram group for that as well. But it's just innocent stuff. Like kids getting, bucked by small horses or butted by sheep. It's hilarious.
Either way, she's moving her legs, so she's not paralyzed.
It's amazing how rubbery kids are. There's actually there was that story about a woman being gored by a bison. I think at Yellowstone.
Yeah, right.
Because she got within 10 feet. The bison's like, F off. And she kept doing it.
Yeah.
So she got gored like a couple times. She's going to be okay.
Wasn't that an older lady, though?
She was like 74.
Yeah.
But that led to people sharing another video of a kid in Yellowstone getting not gored, but getting hit pretty hard. So the kid's got his head out the window because everybody in Yellowstone, that's kind of what happens. I mean, it's an interesting one in Yellowstone because there are literally parts of the park where they're like, stop and let the animals cross, and the animals are going to come close. It's like being on the highway, and if the herd is on the road, you got to stop.
Yeah,
and they might walk right by the car. It's a little nerve wracking because those biggins are like 1,700 pounds or more, and they will f up your car real quick. But that's in Yellowstone. You have that a lot. So the kid's got his head out the window, and a bison's coming real close, and he just kind of ambles by, and then in a split second, he just kind of moves his head to one side. And the horn, and he does it absolutely to hit the kid. Horn hits the kid in the chin, and his head bounces off the top of the door frame, and you hear this like horrible sound.
Blech.
Yeah, blech. And the head bouncing off the thing, and it looks so brutal. And you're like, there's no way that kid is not hurt.
Yeah.
Story after that, kid had a couple scratches, was fine.
Oh, okay. Maybe a concussion.
But maybe a concussion. Yeah. But kids rarely get concussions. But it's just, kids are like rubber. And you see some of these Instagram videos are like, oh my God. And the kid just gets up and like, ah. like they're crying. But I mean, they're fine. Just saying.
Wish I could bounce back like that.
Oh my God. I could barely bounce back off, like if I fell. I'm just going to stay down.
Stub my toe, and that's a wrap on the day.
Right? That's it. What am I going to do for the rest of the day? Stub my toe.
Speaking of injuries, we're going to have to get Bridget Rusk in here soon.
Yeah, that's right. I actually talked to her the other night, friend of the show, Bridget Rusk. She tore a wing.
Ooh.
Yeah, she was, she was playing slow pitch.
Yeah.
She gave a heave, like a hard throw, with everything she had.
Right.
Shoulder popping up place.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she separated her shoulder. And
you can't anticipate that.
You can't. I'm just going to throw this as hard as I possibly can and hope my arm doesn't fall off. And her arm was like, you know what? I got to go.
Of all the potential injuries that you made up in your head to not play slow pitch, I don't even think that one factored in.
How dare you? I have bad knees. Terrible knees.
They held up fine.
No, they didn't.
Oh, come on.
That was the thing. I was like,
great.
That second game, I hit a double, and I was like, I think I pulled my groin.
But you didn't.
I did.
No, you walked all over Scotland and Ireland. It was fine.
Yeah, okay. Well, I felt it get pulled a little bit. Like, it didn't pull or tear, but it strained it. Strained my groin. Anyway.
Gotta stretch.
I got to stretch more. But then, here's... Before we get back to Bridget, I absolutely agree with you. Should warm up properly and stretch. And then... when I look around and everybody's just drinking beer and laughing, I'm like, I feel like an idiot warming up and stretching for slow pitch.
Drinking water and crying over here like a dummy.
Here I am doing my all my exercises. And I feel like a dork. But hey, that's just me.
You look great.
I hate you. I don't. But yeah, Bridget Russ, friend of the show, popped her arm out of her socket. And so she's going to come on at some point to talk about that. She must have done that before, because there's no way your arm just kind of goes, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
She must have done it before. I feel like Bridget's separated her shoulder before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think she just popped it back in? And just kept playing?
No, she didn't keep playing, I don't think. I think she, she was wearing, in her Instagram story, she was wearing a sling.
Yeah.
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 Looked like a homemade sling, though. It didn't look like a sling.
Well, I mean, if you can make one at home.
Singapore sling?
Yeah.
Delicious. None of this is what we were going to talk about. We were going to talk about the end of free parking.
Yeah.
So as you know, parking's been free for quite some time because of, everything. But that ends. It ended when?
It ended actually
on the 1st?
Either Friday or Thursday.
Because it was free for the holiday and then right after Canada Day. So it's over. So just a fair warning, if you're parking downtown, no more free parking. This is the interesting. We're heading into an interesting time because as COVID-19 clearly is starting to ramp up again in the States and in Canada.
Yeah,
we're going to see the end of some of these benefits, but we're not going to see the end of lockdowns or the end of not going back to work full time and things like that. So it's getting into an interesting part.
It's funny how when things adjust for a while, like in this instance, of course, parking downtown and elsewhere was made free because it was nobody's parking downtown anyway, so we may as well. Mm-hmm. So for most of March, April, May, June, we had free parking and just kind of got used to it. And then when suddenly I realized, because it hadn't even dawned on me last week, even though we were running ads, I had voiced a city ad saying free parking ends as of this day.
Yeah.
Still just never clicked in until Nicole was like, I had to move our car. I had to rush out there. It was 9:10.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, free parking's done.
Yeah.
Rushed out there, moved the car. I'd be shocked if AJ didn't get a ticket because he's the king of parking tickets.
Yep,
over here at Cabin Radio.
Right. Half our budget goes to AJ's tickets.
And all of a sudden, that was just it was a legit concern. Free parking's done now. Guys, we have to readjust.
All these benefits are going to end, and we're not going to, and the other part's not going to. So, yeah.
I got a little upset about it.
Yeah, and you should be. You should be. Parking should continue to be free for as long as people are not allowed to go to work. So, I mean, I'm not sure why it ended. I mean, the overages, waiving the overages at Northwest Tail ended, but they also were like, okay, well, we're going to end this, but we're going to permanently increase your cap. So, like, my cap, we have the 300 gig package, it went to 450, which is great. We didn't go over 450 this whole time, even with the overage fees waived. So, I mean, that's great.
So bring back the meters, but make it 24-hour parking.
Yep.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Or something. I mean, at least make it 24-hour parking somewhere.
$2 for 24 hours?
No.
It's a bargain.
No. 50.
$50. 50 hours?
50 hours, $50. $1 an hour. It's pretty good.
That's worse.
It's pretty good. Yeah, we'll just let you know whenever your benefit ends, I think. So let's do a break. It's like, Serb's done. There you go. But yeah, this is an interesting time because, like, yeah, we're gonna hit a second wave, and the benefits, and people will still have restrictions of going back to work, which we're seeing a lot of blowback about now, especially with small businesses. And you saw the letter from the NWT Medical Association saying, listen, you have to lift these things, or people, like, we're gonna see a major influx of, like, other things, right?
Including anger.
Well, anger. There's always been anger, right?
Yeah.
There's, people who didn't understand this from the very beginning,
right?
Who are now, even the most reasonable people at the beginning, are struggling to understand why we're doing this now. But as we see cases uptick everywhere else, especially in the States, we're seeing why we did this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we got to stay the course at least for another little bit, and then we can kind of maybe relax them a little bit more. We just got to keep the border closed. Anyway, not for me to decide. I'm not a doctor or some sort of bureaucrat. I'm just a guy who talks into a mic every day, and you're forced to listen to it. Well, not forced.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
If you've been to Fish on the Bay or at Canadian Tire, you know they put together a pretty good scob of fish and chips. Well, they're expanding downtown. Well, not expanding. They've moved downtown, but they're expanding the operation. So they've moved down to 51st Street, between Sambake Park and Franklin Avenue, right across from the Scotia Center. And they'll be selling fish from 12 to 6, Wednesday through Saturday, until that fall weather kind of creeps in, which is today, apparently. Although we have a high of 20, it's like -7 right now or something. I don't know. It's not warm.
Chilly morning.
Yeah. On July 7th. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Some, you lose some.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's supposed to be, sunny kind of for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week.
We really can't complain too much about the weather.
I can complain all I want.
Well, that's true.
That's right.
We'll find a way.
Okay, so this
dig deep, Jesse.
That's right. So they've expanded it past the fish and chips. They're going to have 3 long picnic tables, raised garden beds, deep freezers filled with Fishy People products. I don't know what those are.
What?
Like fish sausages and whole stuffed fish. That's a lot of fish.
Wait, Fishy People?
Fishy People. I think they make fish stuff.
There's something fishy about that.
There's some fishy about this. They're also selling, of course, Fish on the Bay. Fresh fish as it comes off being flayed on the docks down in Old Town. Flayed.
What does that mean?
Like
just beaten?
Well, no, not at all. You've seen Game of Thrones. You know who has the upside down flayed man sigil?
I don't know.
Damn it! Now I can't remember.
Jesse, come on.
Ramsay Snow.
I've only watched it twice. I don't know that.
Bruce Bolton, Ramsay Snow, the flayed man is their sigil. They are
the Boltons.
Sure. Sure it is. Phoenix is probably yelling at her phone right now. Blah! So the flayed is like torn apart, basically.
Oh.
But I mean, that's what the sigil looks like anyway. It looks like a person that's been skinned. Peel the skin off. There it is. Flayed.
Oh,
that's what I thought. Torn asunder. So, flayed fish. Not filleted, but flayed. Going to be available as well. Yeah, so they've moved from they just had the one little trailer, right, that they pumped fish and chips out of and sold out nearly every day. And I actually had the opportunity to try it for the first time last week. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Big chunks of not too greasy fish, fried fish, nice chips.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
That's good stuff.
God, it's going to be downtown now. Well, which makes it further away from my work. So.
Yeah, you had your chance.
Inconvenient for me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. That story is on cabinradio.ca. Just more places to eat in Yellowknife. You can't go wrong, really.
Well, Franklin's looking pretty bare as far as food trucks go.
Well, because,
so
parking's not free anymore, so.
Well, I mean, it never was free for
But wasn't
them.
wasn't Booster Juice down here?
Booster Juice is here, but
Yeah, okay, they are here.
I think that's
One of a tie still rocking.
where's One of a Tie?
They have been.
Oh, and then there's the YK Snacks.
Yeah.
The
by Harley's.
gas snacks.
That's
Was
right. Gas snacks. It's not the original name for that. Right outside of Harley's, by the way. It rhymed with gas.
It's not gas snack.
It's not gas snacks. It was ass snacks, but it was ASS.
Oh.
Period. Assorted snacks.
Jesse, we're trying to run a breakfast program.
Assorted snacks. All right.
Okay.
You just had to take me there, didn't you? It's really your fault. And they're currently working on a fish eyeball chip. This was in the news this morning. And Ollie talked about it. A fish eyeball chip. I'm going to let you know how that goes. There you go. Fish head dog treats, dehydrated fish head dog treats, white fish and trout caviar, kimchi in canoe sausages. Like, that really expanded this operation. This stuff sounds really interesting.
No kidding, yeah.
But the fish eyeball chip, sure. Have you ever had fish eyeballs?
No.
Delicious.
Really?
And gooey. And then, like, you can get the cheeks out of there, too, especially the trout, the cheeks.
Yeah.
Good eating. That's right.
All right.
You can eat almost any part of the fish.
Except the bones.
Well, I mean, you could make jewelry out of the bones.
You're not going to eat jewelry, Jesse.
I mean, in a pinch, I'd eat an earring or two. So go check that out starting, I guess probably starting this week. Does it say? It probably does. And I missed it completely.
Did you close the story?
No, I didn't.
What does
Still
it
there.
say?
Yeah, it says starting selling fish.
All right.
12 to 6, starting Wednesday. So starting this Wednesday.
There you go.
There they are.
There's your answer, Fishbowl.
There you go, fish eyeball. There's a new insult for you. That's going to do it for Mornings at the Cabin today. We've had lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of fun, but now it's time to say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.